Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan, and one of my biggest bugbears with Omens of Destruction is that Skarr Bloodwrath is a legendary hero instead of a legendary lord. I know it's not the most important thing for everyone, but he does lead the Skaramor, and he's a pretty big character for that. Now, I doubt that he'll ever be updated to be a legendary lord, but thankfully the modding community has stepped in. Shortly after the release of the DLC came Grakul with Heroes No More, Skarr Bloodwrath, Legendary Lord. And yeah, it does exactly what it says. Let's talk about it, because there's a few things which make it quite interesting. The starting army is pretty decent. You've got a unit of Wrathmongers, a unit of Skull Reapers, Forsaken, some Marauders both on foot and on horse. The faction effects are as follows. Raiding Stance is upgraded to Juggernaut Raiding Stance, which increases campaign movement range, but reduces raiding income. Yes, this is going to be taken from the mechanic of Torrox the Brass Ball, but there's a few changes here and there. -2 turn cooldown for individual Skull Throne rituals, very useful, especially when you're trying to get that momentum going. And Rampage, maintaining momentum from successive battles, earns Skar some rewards and some bonuses. For the Lord effects, we have Skar leaves the Rivers of Blood effect in regions after winning battles, stacks up to 3 times, passive ability Blood Tally, passive ability Bloodborne, all of these you're used to already if you've been using him as a legendary hero, and physical resistance plus 10% for Skull Reapers and Wrathmongers in Lord's army, making them very potent if you're going to be using a full Skaramor force. Your campaign begins in the Southern Chaos Waste. You'll be at war with Oxyotl, but also you'll be fighting against Tehenuin and the Fortress of the Dawn from the very beginning. Now, you don't have to play here, as there is a portal from the very start of your campaign, and that's going to give you the option of leaving and going to the Northern Chaos Waste. Naturally, that's actually where Skar and the rest of the Skaramor are from, so you have the option there. It does mean that you're going to have to wait an extra turn to get that momentum going and starting to fight, but it's your choice if you want to stay down there, which you're going to be fighting against a lot of Lizardmen, some High Elves, and also with Kairos. And you're given the choice of pushing up in the Southlands, going into Austria, or both, or going up north and dealing with the problems up there. You will have to fight another Khornate faction from the very beginning if you want to get some territory, but you do have Valk here as a possible ally, or if you're using Recruit Defeat of Legendary Lords, you're going to have quite a lot of Legendary Lords to play around with. Either way, the first turn you're not going to have a starting settlement, you do have a pretty good army, and it's just pretty much go in through the motions, get some damage done, and try to just expand as much as possible. Khorne at the very beginning does lack when it comes to a decent economy, so you're going to be recruiting a lot of Marauders. That's perfectly fine though, as they are semi-decent and you can make them quite killy. Now, the big thing to note here is if you're going to go for a full Skaramor playthrough, don't just go for the Skaramor troops. Like, actually get some Chaos Warriors and Chosen in there. You are completely able to do that if you want to go for a roleplay aspect, as that's how people used to field them in the tabletop. You'd get Skar, you'd get yourself some Skull Reapers, some Wrathmongers, but also get some Skull Crushers, some Chaos Knights, and some Chaos Warriors to give you some nice armor and a proper front line. This does mean that you can ignore the demons if you so wish, though they do work quite nicely with Skar too. Though I've been going with my own Skaramor playthrough, which means just focusing very heavily on mortals and mortals alone. So skill-wise, he's going to be the same as when he was a legendary hero. The only difference now is he has a proper blue skill line, but it works very well. Keep in mind that obviously he is very stacked up to be a melee-focused character. It's a Khorne character, surprise, and you will get access to your item for free when you get to the needed rank. So there is no need to do a quest battle here. It's a very odd thing that a lot of quest battles have been missing lately when it comes to new characters. But we're going to talk about a few things, like, for example, Juggernaut Raiding Stance. So this is available to all of your armies, and it's basically just going to give you extra movement. There is going to be a lot of movement needed, especially if you start going through Lustria, so maybe you're going to be just off from getting to the enemy. Well, Juggernaut Raiding Stance is going to give you that extra movement there, which is going to allow you to get in there, do some damage, and wipe out the enemy if needed. Pair that with everything else, which gives you extra movement, and you're going to be moving around doing a lot of carnage. If you want to go for that real Skarr Bloodwrath, Skaramor campaign, well, you're going to want to use as many blood speakers as possible. It's going to be your main lord choice. But don't you worry if you still want to use a Chaos Lord of Khorne, because, well, they're pretty damn tasty on foot, and then you can get yourself a Demon Prince. That's perfectly fine. Don't worry, it's still lore-friendly if you're trying to go for that push. Though I have seen blood speakers basically being the go-to lord option for Khorne. Same thing with the Paymasters for the Ogres. It's the whole upkeep production which makes them really damn good. I'm a bit worried that that's going to be the norm a lot. So momentum comes into play, which means as soon as you get into more and more combat, you'll be able to get momentum, which you can use to pick up some new stuff, but also you can use it to replenish Skarr Bloodwrath's movement, which is absolutely fantastic because the Southern Chaos Wastes and also in the Southlands and Lustria, there's a lot of movement to be had. So if you can replenish alongside all your other replenishment bonuses, it's not going to be that much of a slog. Skulltaker has it great because he can teleport, but a lot of other characters there are stuck there. Now the big thing is you'll also have access to the Rampage mechanic, which will work in an identical way to Taurox, but the bonuses that you can pick up are going to be more tailored towards being a Khornate faction. You know, extra melee defense, getting skulls. There's quite a lot there. You've got Harsh Rampage, Savage Rampage, and Cataclysmic. Cataclysmic is obviously going to be the best one for you, as you're going to be able to pick up hero capacity for your certain characters, like for example your cultists, which you're going to be using a fair amount. And it does take a while to be able to pick them up naturally, so the more capacity you can get, the more support you'll have with your Bloodspeaker armies, having a little bit more summons coming in and general bonuses, because this does mean that you're going to end up with some more war shrines. Sure, the Chaos War Shrines of Khorne aren't the best, but it's either that or the horse, because Creative Assembly didn't want to give the cultists nor the blood speakers the juggernauts, which is going to break my heart constantly until the end of time. I know you're listening. CA, please. I will say I'll never ask for anything again, but we both know I'm lying. The cultists need them on a god mounts too. Please. But yeah, Blood Speakers are going to be a pretty good lord option for you, and you're going to be fielding quite a few of them. They've become my main, especially since I'm going with that general push. The campaign itself is going to be a little slow at the very beginning. I do feel like it's a little bit slower than all the other legendary lords barring Skarbrand. But the moment you start getting your Skaramor troops and you start getting a few more cultists coming in, the momentum is definitely felt in. The good thing about the Southern Chaos Wastes is there is a decent amount of resources there, including a gold mine. So you're going to be getting your armies cheaper and cheaper. And Lustria has a fair amount of gold mines too. These are faction-wide upkeep productions, by the way. It's definitely not the best army at the beginning to just spam Marauders. Thankfully, the Khornate Marauders are a little bit better than the others, so you can survive for a little bit until you start getting your other troops up and running. But this is just a normal thing for Khorne now, since there's been a separation between mortal and immortal buildings. You'll also have access to Rivers of Blood, which will spread corruption. You'll also have some bonuses coming in. You might notice that there's no demons there, and that's not a mod issue. It's a vanilla value which hasn't been updated. I guess Creative Assembly forgot to go back to Taurox and fix this up. I already messaged the dev about it. This is something that they might look into, but that's going to have to be in the new year, because as you can imagine, they've closed up for Christmas now. But yeah, overall, the campaign is actually quite fun. It doesn't have a truly unique mechanic, but that's kind of difficult to do as a modder, whereas obviously the developers at Creative Assembly have their own unique stuff coming in. It's a lot easier because they have the better tools. But yeah, overall, I think the Taurox stuff works quite well. If anything, in the future, I could imagine that this mechanic, the Taurox mechanic, being given to Skarbrand, just tailored a little bit differently, because it does fit in quite well, and Skarbrand doesn't have anything. I don't imagine that Skar will be turned into a legendary lord. Thankfully, we do have this mod, which you can try out in the description below, by the way. Direct link for that. I like it. I like the roleplay aspect. I know it's not the biggest thing for a lot of people, but for me it is, especially since Sylar was added in and Sylar directly serves Skar. It's one of those things where just lore trumps gameplay for me. Well, to be honest, I feel like Skar should have been a lord in general, because it would have added a little bit of more fun there. There has been all these rumors about a hypothetical End Times DLC, but I very much doubt that we're going to get another Khorne lord. I think it's just going to focus on Nurgle and be done with it there. From personal experience, I'd say I prefer Skar in the Northern Chaos Waste from a lore-friendly point of view, but for a more fun, varied campaign, if not a little bit hectic, Yeah, the Southern Chaos Wastes work very, very much fine. You're going to be prepared for player bias, though, coming into effect, because the moment that you've gotten rid of Oxyotl, Tehenuin, the Citadel of Dawn or Dusk, or whichever one that is, starts turning their eyes on you. Kairos kind of does too, Teclis does too, so you're going to be fighting a lot. That's kind of expected from a Chaos campaign of Khorne, I guess. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the mod in the comments below. We should be up and running normally now, so it should be daily videos from now on. I've got something kind of cool to talk about soon, so that's going to be kind of cool. But yeah, have a great day, guys. Hopefully you guys all had a lovely Christmas. I am going to go back into a food coma. I'm not going to lie to you. See ya.